Okay. Alright. Yes! Alright. Avengers Endgame. Let's talk about it right now. What's up, fellow Phantoms? What's going on? How are you doing today? So, you're gonna hear this repeated over other people's reviews. This movie it's never been done before in movie history. Essentially, this movie is the culmination of 22 movies prior. This movie is a culmination of over a decade of MCU movies leading up into this point. And while it's not perfect, and it's a 3-hour movie, I'll get back to it, but it's amazing. So this movie picks off essentially right after the end of Endgame. Thanos did his snap. Half the people went away. Spider-Man, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, all these people, they're gone. The remaining members of the Avengers trying to figure stuff out. Anything past that, basically, well, everything up to that was portrayed in the trailers, so that's not really spoilers, but everything past that, I can't really talk about. Essentially, everything that I just talked about is in the trailers. Everything after that is a spoiler. So I have to keep this review as vague as possible. If you guys are interested in watching a spoiler-filled review, or just a spoiler cast, or just a review talking about everything going on, go ahead and leave those in the comments below. But as I said in this video, no spoilers, so you're safe. So the Russo brothers basically took over in Captain America Winter Soldier, then they went on to direct Civil War, then Avengers Infinity War, and now Avengers Endgame. They have stated that they don't have any plans to direct any further MCU movies. In every movie they've done, they did a terrific job, and I applaud them for this because this is no easy task. A 3-hour movie concluding a 22 movie saga, the Infinity Stone saga, it's not an easy task to basically culminate that entire culture, that entire universe in one movie. Even though it's 3 hours, that's not an easy task, and I applaud them for it. This movie was an experience, and that's the best thing, or the best word I can give to describe this movie. If you're going into this movie, basically this is your first MCU movie, or if you've seen a few of them, you'll enjoy it. But essentially this movie is created for everybody that's been along the ride since the beginning, or hopped along the way, but essentially has been invested in this movie universe and in these characters. And this movie gives justice, in my opinion, to most of those characters. So let's talk about pros and cons as much as we can. With that though, being the same directors from Infinity War to Endgame, I will say that the tone definitely is kind of all over the place. You do have very specified endpoints and beginning points to certain acts almost, and that's fun. It almost kind of feels like maybe you're going to see a play or a very structured story when it comes to like the acts, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and there are 3 acts. I don't think that's very spoilery. The movie does go from sad and serious to silly and funny, and then back to serious at some point. Don't get me wrong, I appreciated everything I watched, but it can feel a little disjointed, a little discombobulated when it comes to the tone, and that's fine. Movies like this like to throw in humor, they like to throw, and then obviously you have serious drama going on at the same time with half the population being wiped out. I understand that. But I wish the tone would have been a more singular, uniform kind of thing, or at least less dramatic in its transitions to and from this drama and comedy. But I said previously, this movie is an experience. It's a culmination of everything that's happened before it. And so, as a person that's experienced all the movies that's come before it, I have a certain appreciation and a certain viewpoint of this movie that maybe a person that has not watched every movie before it might not have. As I said before, it can be a tad long in some points, but at the same time you kind of wished it went longer. There are certain scenes that you watch and you're like, does that really need to be there? That could have been trimmed to maybe bring down that time. Definitely be careful with how much beverages you're consuming, unless you don't care about missing, a 2-minute segment, because 3 hours sitting in one place, if you have popcorn and you have soda, it definitely, just be careful. This movie was almost a mess at times, and this movie was amazing at times, and the tone was a little jumbled. And now that we got all the negatives out of the way with us being as vague as possible, The last act, the last hour, 45 minutes of the movie, in my opinion, the best 45 minutes of a movie that I've ever watched. And that includes, I mean, you've seen me wearing Star Wars shirts and Exorcist shirts. It's a blockbuster movie. It's made by Disney. They have this giant thing. There are definitely more artsy films. There's Whiplash, there's Birdman, there's a bunch of movies artistically maybe better, plot-wise better, maybe character-driven better. But in my opinion, the last 45 minutes of this movie are the most amazing 45 minutes of cinema that I've ever seen. So you can kill me for that in the comics. You can say, oh, it's just a comic. No. The last 45 minutes of this movie are amazing. The way that Captain America and Iron Man were treated in this movie, and the way it culminated for them, and how it worked out for them in this movie, in my opinion, made this movie and were perfect. I wouldn't change a thing about what happened with them, and I just appreciate what the Russos did for them and what they did with the movie as a whole. There's a lot of fan service in this movie, but the Russos definitely did a great job of just, yes, this is a must-watch generational movie. When people look back at like Star Wars, the original trilogy, iconic movies of a certain generation, when 20 years pass and people look back at 2019, when they look back, they're going to see Infinity War and then Endgame right after. And that's how good this movie is. And at this point, I've already seen it twice because there's a lot of information to process. And try not to use the restroom, but it's pretty amazing. Anyways, fellow Phantoms, I hope you appreciate just what's going on in movie culture right now, because this isn't something that's always going to happen. Maybe Marvel goes forward and continues to have successful movies and continues to interweave movies into this cinematic universe, but that's not always going to be the case. So just appreciate this initial saga for what it is. Maybe hope for more in the future, but just appreciate what's going on. So anyways, fellow Phantoms, thank you very much for joining me on this review. It's an experience, it's a ride, it's an emotional roller coaster, it's fun. It's just one of those movies where you're just like, yes, yes, and then you're crying the next minute. Just go in, go have fun, and I'm giving this movie an A+. First A+ in my review history, but it deserves it. And maybe other people don't believe so, and maybe because of the jumble and the story and the tone and the blah 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 blah. The last 45 minutes and just the movie as a whole, amazing. Go watch it. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. Hit the bell so you know every time I'm posting new videos. And just thank you guys for stopping by. I'll see you guys later. Later.